Hey guys, Stealth here. Today in this 10v10 tactical we're going to look at Chosen Reservoir, but instead of the blue side we're taking up red this time around. Now Chosen Reservoir is normally not one of my favorite maps. It has all of these canyons, and once someone has taken those and it's a normal game, they're going to reinforce heavily and it's going to be extremely difficult to get in. Not just in Delta, same goes for this canyon in Bravo. And the other side of the map is not much better. Once someone has taken this town, it's going to be very, very heavily fought over, and this is usually a sort of stalemate. The middle of the map does allow for pushing. It's not too easy, but it works. And mostly for motorized decks, and that's what Bozza is going to be doing today. He's going to be using an Eastern Bloc motorized deck. So lots of infantry, insofar as you can afford infantry for only 200 points. Let's see what he's going to be starting with. Motorized deck means high veterancy, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. We've got two Snezka for recon, a Scott 2A with AA infantry, ATGM infantry, and a Ural with high level recon. Not too sure which one this is going to be. It might be LSTRs. It might be... No, actually recon is not LSTRs, of course. Formosas then? We'll have to take a look. It's going to be helped by Pill's K52. Colt's going to move there as well, and Bozza is going to position one of his Snezka recons all the way over there, which is a perfect spotting position. From all the way over here, you can see the entire stretch of terrain that's coming over the bridge, to some extent the other side of the bridge, and a little bit towards the field here. And depends on how big the unit is, whether you're going to spot it or not. Over towards the right, I'm seeing a CV from Stone Chong. We have his MI8, a Sokol coming in from Zator. K52 is heading mid. This looks like a problem. We only have AGM over on this flank, and Doge, and that's it. AGM is also flying an SU-27 PU around. But other than that, I'm not seeing any units over to the left side of the map, so this could be a really, really difficult area for them to hold. Blue Force pushing in with quite a few forces here. I'm seeing a Bradley. I think that's an M60. No, MBT-70, Pivats, Command Abrams. And then this is probably an infantry carrier. Yep. They're pushing quite aggressively this way. I'm not really sure what they're hoping to do. K52 already nailed any kind of AA they had. And they have now retreated inside that little tree line. Against 1T80B, this thing is going to be hard pressed to survive. There's also a Wilk nearby, who's being desperately relocated to counter that threat. That means that Bozza is pretty much alone on the middle. Now he's positioning these Snezkas. Snezkas have good optics. They have a 2A42 autocannon. Pretty good range. Accuracy is okay. Armor penetration is pretty much what you can expect from an autocannon. It's not fantastic, but it works. Ural about to be offloaded. And as you can see, he's going to have to take pretty much the middle of the map with 3 to 4 infantry units. Conqueror's M. Oh, we got a longbow here. Longbow and a dap from Combustible Lemons. This is going to get interesting. K52 could take down the longbow, but it only carries 4 of those Igla missiles, meaning it's going to be hard pressed to take down the dap as well. Although it does outrange the dap. 26-25 meter range versus only 22-75 on the DAP. So if Pills can get his K52 to move in and fire and not waste missiles on UH-1s, then he should be able to take care of both of these helos, provided that they all hit. Eagle is coming to challenge the K52 and got it. The Grom tried to help out, didn't hit the aircraft there, and unfortunately the K-52 is no longer with us. Now Lusasian has surrendered. I think he lost too many units there and decided to call it quits. So that's another one of the guys gone. SU-27PU chasing down a Harrier and gets the kill. Now, the infantry that was the recon group that I didn't identify properly was the Kampfschwimmer over there, which is spotting pretty much most of the map over here. But against the longbow, he might get spotted if the longbow gets close. Longbow wastes 2 missiles on the Ural, doesn't even hit it, which is a really poor effect for a longbow. But it seems that Combustible Lemons is not using a specialized longbow. He has this thing only on, I think, hardened, because it really is not very good. It does not have a lot of accuracy, it does not have a lot of veterancy. And if he just keeps wasting missiles on them like this, that's going to be very, very nice. And it's going to be a really big and expensive thing to rearm for blue. He did get a kill. He is closing in, but so is the Grom. Grom has pretty good range for an AA missile carried by infantry. 26-25. If he can get a little closer, and if this thing does not hover low, then they might actually be able to get the kill. Let's see how Red 4 is doing on the left in that problematic area. There really is nothing left of red. AGM is putting up all sides of help markers because he is completely alone on this area of the map. He's positioning his his US to try and pull back, but unless he gets reinforcement fast, this side of the map is completely lost, meaning that their air spawn is gone. The other air spawn, no, actually there is no other air spawn, there's only a land reinforcement here. So this zone is critical if they want to keep using that SU-27PU and any other kind of air support. Bozza's infantry is now pushing up. We got Specialny Jetnotki on the front line, followed by Concours. The Groms are still trying to get into range of the longbow, but by the looks of it, the longbow is currently running away. It's, I don't know, it's just hovering. Very unusual. Looks like they're facing off against an Abrams. Unknown make and model yet, but at least it's going to be an M1 Plus by the looks of it. Simply for the reason that most people don't use the stock Abrams on 10v10 Tacticals. It does not make that much sense. I think that the arc for the Grom is just not good enough to hit the longbow. This tree line is still in the way. If you want to hit the longbow, you're going to have to move up all the way over there. Which is quite the stretch for the Groms, considering they only have a speed of 15. It's going to take them quite a while to get there. They do have some transports, but the transports are easy prey for the longbow. Maybe if he gets into one of these structures. Come on guys, you can get him. The Grom has already fired 2 missiles, one at the Eagle. And I think it just got a little missile lock there, but unfortunately it lost it again. Over towards the right, Red is doing fantastically well. They are getting a lot of terrain. Colt is going for the push here. Granatomets fielded by Keck. They are pushing in. They can get this terrain, then that will make it a lot more easy for them to position ATGMs there, neutralize any kind of vehicle that's threatening, and then slowly start to push up. But this is a remarkably treacherous area. It's very difficult to push up unless you have some sort of smoke cover or air dominance. Because otherwise you're just going to get hit by ATGMs from this block or vehicles from over there. OT-64C has been destroyed. I think that the longbow got its fangs in that. Grom is still moving up. And we got AGM-12 positioning attack markers over the longbow. Probably telling them it needs to go down. Everyone's warning everyone at this stage. And the longbow has been spotting vehicles here. Longbow taking a lot of fire from MiG-21MLs. The Groms are getting a missile lock. There you go. 150 points. And I think that... oh, no, it was not the first kill from Bozza. He already killed some other stuff. So no more longbow. That makes operating down the middle quite a bit safer. Over to the left. Wow, they're still here. I had actually thought that they would have surrendered or just pulled back. But nothing of the sorts. They're still here, they're still fighting. And in fact, they're pushing back some Highlanders. Bit of a desperate defense here, using a couple of UAZ or US SPG-9s. Recoilless rifle jeeps. You can see they have quite a bit of difficulty in actually hitting a transport. 20% accuracy. Armor penetration is quite nice. Same for rate of fire. Survivability, none. No armor. Very, very little hit points. And anything with a machine gun will take out this vehicle if it manages not to hit you first. Doge is putting up defense and attack markers here. They're saying there's an Avenger there, so be careful with your AA. They're going to need recon. I gotta say, AGM is doing some really good jobs at coordinating and putting down attack markers and defense markers and explaining what he needs and where he needs it. This is exactly the way that you can try to get going. This is the exact way that you can try to pull back this position. The Abrams that I was not able to identify was a command M1, which is now taking fire from the Concours as well as the Sneska from behind, and I think that the Sneska got the kill by firing into the rear armor of the M1, which really does not have that much armor. And the resupply vehicles from Combustible are either going to be captured or killed. Yeah, he killed both of them. I think that completely neutralizes the forces from Combustible Lemons, considering that he lost the Command Abrams and he also lost his longbow, lost his reinforcements or his logistics vehicles, and that probably neutralizes the player altogether, meaning that they might be able to push into Elena. But pushing into Elena from this position is quite difficult for infantry. Any self-respecting tank positioned over there is going to have a very easy time picking off the Specialny Jetnotki. The alternative is to pull them back, go all the way through this tree line, then push up, and then try and make your way through this tree line, hoping not to get spotted or shot at, or if you are going to get shot at, make sure you're going to get in range to get the first shot in as well. Bozza is moving up as Grom. I would also be moving up the Conquerors if this was my positioning. Position the Conquerors over there, use the Specialny Jetnotki and or the Kampfschwimmer, although no, Kampfschwimmer have died unfortunately. Use them to spot and then try and get kills on any motorized or wheeled vehicle that's still out there. Interesting to see a landed Blackhawk here. Not really what you'd normally expect. But it makes it quite the easy target for both vehicles and HGMs alike. Colt is pushing in with infantry, as well as AA infantry. And it seems that they are slowly but steadily taking control of the middle of the map. As far as scores go, Blue 4 is doing terrible. Only 500 points versus 1600 points from Red. And that means that Blue has lost a ton of forces. It's going to be really, really hard for them to pull it back. AGM is sending a CV. Again, good coordination. Make sure you talk to each other like this. This will allow you to not send double CVs and save you points. Unfortunately, the left side of the map is not doing that well. The forces over here are mostly on defense watch. And mounting a counter-offense into Dmitry or Boris is not particularly likely. So for now they're focusing on the right flank and the middle and trying to hold all of those zones, which I believe will still get them quite the advantage in income, although it's questionable if you're actually going to notice that in tacticals. Looks like I have eyes on a cargo and a fob, as well as an AH-1E. These are pretty cheap helicopters, 60 pointers, but do not underestimate them. The Vulcan as well as the Hydra can use their weapon systems, or can be used quite effectively against infantry, vehicles, and it makes them a very, very good all-rounder. A couple of Bradleys are coming in. I'm really hoping that the Concours are going to be in position to capture those, or to at least intercept them fast. Because the Bradley against the wounded Sneska is not going to be any advantage to the Sneska. Motorschützen 90 will be able to take them down quite fast, if they can get in range and not get hit too much by all of the autocannon fire from the Bradleys. There's AGM's US command vehicle. Concours are still moving up. So It's really difficult for them to get a hit. Snezga is firing. They need to get rid of this recon vehicle right now. But they have managed to nail the AH-1E. That must have been the Grom from Colt over there. There's the Bradleys. Concourse is firing. But the tree line is blocking line of sight. So you're really going to have to hope that you hit anything. Bozza has managed to turn off his UAZ, his Concourse, until he knows he has a perfect shot. And for now, I think that the motor Schützen will be able to take them down. There's one kill. Salamandra helping out. Again, lost line of sight. Missile goes to waste. Pushing through. Colt has positioned a Wilk, which is coming in. That's going to be really helpful in neutralizing the infantry there. Wilk has 4 HE damage, 9 rounds a minute rate of fire. And it is going to shoot through the riflemen. Hopefully before the riflemen take care of all the motor shoots in there. Bradley has been pushing out. Not a good thing to do. It got murdered immediately. Rocket pods from the Salamandra are still punishing the riflemen, and there's pretty much nothing left from these riflemen. SPW 152K with more infantry coming in. There's a Kolos positioning as well, trying to resupply anything that might need it, such as the Concourse. Maybe the Salamander is going to touch down and resupply the the Kokons and the rocket pods. And I hope that they can still get enough supplies for the Snezga to get repaired. Left flank. Well, it seems to be doing alright, so long as you don't push out. If they would just defend, I think that would be the safer option, because assaulting this position for Blue 4 is just as hard as it is for Red 4 to make it across the bridge. Even though they have managed to get one group of Spetsnaz across, it is not going to really do anything from out there, other than get a little bit of vision on what might be threatening them there. As for the right flank is doing fantastic. T-64BM pushing through, Mi-17 with those S-13 rocket pods. Leka Picota moving through, kicking the Rangers out of the way. Even got eyes on the Sultan. And that might be the only CV they have over here. Positioned pretty well inside this town, so the T-80B has to come up right close to it in order to get a kill. The vehicle seems to be moving away, and not enough. Unfortunately, there's a bit of friendly fire going on there. I think that the mortars over there were pounding on the command vehicle, which was not dead yet. Look at that. Point blank shot from the T-80B. The thing was just right in front of them. Not sure that would be healthy for a tank in normal situations, killing something that's right in front of it. Backblast and all, but so far they seems to have been doing alright. Thunderbolt comes in, tries to nails the T-64BM and gets away with it. Immediately gets evac'd. Unfortunately, the air spawn is all the way over here, so if they do want to get a quick air response, it's going to take them a while to get there. In this situation, if you have an Su-27PU or something like that, I would always have it circling over there, just to make sure that they cannot pull off something like a Thunderbolt rush. Left flank, still heavily defended by AGM-12. Rifleman coming in, 163 CS, fire supporter, Sheridan. BTRD seems to be on a sacrificial run there. And personally, I would allow them to get into my structures and then waste them with flamethrowers up close, because at this position, with this kind of structure, if you can let them come to you, you have the advantage. AGM and Doge putting up a whole load of defense markers and help markers. They're about to get a Sokol for support, but the Sokol is going to be facing against the 163 CS. Not this one, by the way, but this is the only one I have in sight. Can they get this? Rozvetkas, maybe? Yeah, they might be able to do it. To jump to the structure there. Here comes the rifleman. Sapri now in range of the flamethrower. Oh, that's not the right move. Get massacred there by the fire support tank and the CS. There is nothing left of AGM's forces. In the middle, though, the battle is going really well. However, blue still has a CV somewhere, and there it is, TACOM. TACOM, unfortunately for them, not armed with any kind of AT weapon. Now, let's see, the right flank is secure. Middle is secure. How are they going to wrap this thing up? The AA is pushing up as well. We got the Grom from Colt, we got the Concours, we got the Reserve Schützen. Really? Reservists? Okay. Not quite what I was expecting. Chinook tries to make it back to base and probably going to get nailed by the Grom over there. Nope. Come on, Grom. Get in range. SU-27PU flying over. And, yep, AGM's forces, as well as the other defenders, have been forced back across this terrain. They're now back on their little island in center, meaning that it's still going to be difficult for blue to push in. There's a little bird coming in from Combustible Lemons, a cargo. We have the Eric's over here pushing through, but I'm not really sure what the Eric's is really hoping to do there. Eric's has a decent range for an ATGM at 1,000 meters. Really high killing power at 25 armor penetration. But take a tank or an ASU 85M for all I care, and at 1900 meters these things are completely defenseless. Let alone against something like a Sokol. But the Sokol is about to be challenged there by the Stormer. Mortar is pushing up. This is probably one of the best things that blue can do. Get a mortar in, although this is quite close for a mortar. They have good eyes on it. I don't think they can kill it though. It's too far away from anything that might have the range. The only thing that I could think of is sending the Sokol over, but you're running right into the Stormer, which of course is not exactly what you want to have happen. Stormers are amphibious, so if they really wanted to, they could float across, only to run right into any of these units, so that's not that likely. What are they going to intend to do with the Stormers? Where are you going, little man? Going off-road? He's going to position it possibly on this hill. Although I'm still not too sure why you'd want to invest a 70-point unit there, or 75-point unit there. Over to the right flank, where blue is doing sort of a similar standoff to red on the other side of the map. Again, there's a bridge to cross, and blue has the advantage. Defenders are almost always going to have the advantage when having a bridge or one narrow strip to push through. That's exactly what's going on here. Red, though, does have mortars in position. And they also have quite a few fire support units, quite a nice amount of infantry. The amount of AA, though, is something I'm a bit worried about, because one HQ-7 is not going to stop a Thunderbolt or any other bomber type of aircraft. The Su-27PU will, and for some reason it only has the short-range missiles active. Why would you want to do that? Does he want to get into a dogfight? This is new. AGM, if you're watching this video, please explain in a comment down below why you're disabling the main gun and the Wimpel. The long-range Wimpel, that is, the R77, because for me, I just cannot find the reasoning in it. A lot of defense markers here from Pills. Not really too sure what, I think I missed that. T-34-85s are now being called to the defense. Unfortunately, their 1500 meter range, mind you, which is less than your average autocannon, cannot really get the kill. I think the Salamandra may have been able to kill it. Yep, there's the wreck. The Stormer was immediately pushing back into the helicopter, but the helicopter made it out alive. There's the Stormer. Stormer can also fire at ground-based targets, and it is hitting the T-34. Not quite killing it instantly. Second missile did it. kill power of this thing against vehicles is not that high. It's only 12 armor penetration. You're best firing the Stormer against air targets. Airplanes, helicopters. Those will get you the maximum damage out of the missiles that you're using. I'm really interested to see how Bozza is going to try and push across. We got AGM here saying let's push. I'm not sure what he's going to try and push with, because there really isn't that much that they have to push. And if you want to push, you want to try and do that fast. So you want to have vehicles. You want to either amphibious, or send them over using an amphibious push there, or take the bridge, and either of which is going to be heavily defended. So it's a bit of a stalemate at the moment, both sides. Blue is pushing in a lot of forces here. Let's see how many people we have over here. We got King Screwball positioning a lot of forces. Nigel with his British units. Who's that? Screwball. Screwball. Jeez, it's hard for me to read thanks to color blindness. Combustible Lemons. Who's that? Fleabane? So that's 5 players, all on one flank. Meaning that the other flanks are likely not to have that many units. Very heavy attack here with a lot of forces, but they are all being pulled back. Not really too sure why. Now, a situation like this, if you can get the Stormer out of the way, I think you can send in any kind of helicopter force and neutralize virtually anything that might be threatening this position. T-34-85 still panicked, pulled back. All of these units are pulled back. But Blue is not really gaining any kind of terrain. Mortars are firing both sides, one M125, and the mortars from Red are deterring the enemy attack here. For the moment, that is. Let's see how Red's doing here. Not much. If they can get the Specialnies closer to this tree line, then they might be able to spot into the blue 4 zone. But getting across is very, very difficult here. It's not impossible, but for infantry, walking this terrain, it's gonna take a while. Now in this map, always be mindful, be wary for these areas. This is perfect amphibious operations terrain. You can drive down, float over, and drive back up. So it's not just that this bridge is an option to come in, and that bridge, and this bridge over there. Because almost all of this terrain on both sides of the river allows for amphibious ops. So you're gonna have to keep a lookout for both of these sides. Now, Colt is pushing in one tank without any kind of support, without any kind of recon, only relying on the medium recon from the Wilk itself. And so far, he's not getting into any kind of resistance. There we go, NZSCS. Doing a little bit of damage to the Wilk. I personally would not want to drive in that close, because it's only going to level up the accuracy from the law. You can see it going down very, very fast now. It did manage to hit the Wilk again, but I wouldn't be surprised that if they get rid of the NZSCS, they might be able to capture the FOB and get that Wilk back up to full strength. T-80B is pushing in from the other flank as well, and base rifleman with the M72 law against the T-80B is not that likely to succeed. Mortar fire pushing in on the NZSCS, not really getting that much damage in. There's another infantry squad by the looks of it. It jumped in but decided not to fire. Yep, there's the NZSCS, no more. Chieftain Marksman gets hit. Wilk's probably going to try and get a shot in as well. There's the kill. This position for blue is completely neutralized. There's nothing left. Or at least, by the looks of it. I'm not really sure how I was able to miss this. Nor how he got that unit in there. How did he do that? The only thing I can imagine is that he drove up like that. No. What the hell? If I didn't know better, I'd say he airdropped this unit, but it's not too likely. Unfortunately, it's a bit of an empty threat. This thing has no offensive capabilities left, short of trying to ram the vehicle, and unfortunately that isn't exactly part of Wargame. Now, this mortar carrier is trying to kill off the Sneska with a machine gun. This is looking like a bit of a car chase here. And unfortunately, they managed to kill the Sneska with a machine gun. Not really what I was expecting. This flank looks to be completely lost. Red has pushed in CV immediately. Tanks are getting resupplied at the FOB, which still has a ton of supplies left. 12,000, almost 13,000. So this flank is not too interesting at the moment. The left flank is. I'm really trying to see what's going on there. Reserve Schützen have made it across the bridge. Yeah, this might be the way that they got in. Sneska might have been driving down here, pushing over through there, and then over this ridge and through the town. That's a possible route, but I'd have to go all the way back and reload the replay in order to see exactly what happened. Lynx 87 20mm is trying to hit something, but none of these things are actually getting hit. So I'm not really too sure what they are trying to kill there. Ural ZU 23-2 with a minigun, trying to get close. Hopefully knocking down the helicopter. Unfortunately, their range against helos is not that good, but it did manage to get the kill. Blue 4 aircraft come in. There's the Thunderbolt. SU-27PU now with all of the weapons active. Going in for the kill. Hit. There's the second hit. And there's the last hit. No more Thunderbolt. Fleabane surrenders. Now these AH-7s have a range of 2100, meaning that the ZSU, or the ZU, will be able to get into range first, but its accuracy is so low that it's going to have to get lucky in order to actually get a hit on these units. Helicopter pushing in, getting killed off by the Stormers and the SCS, so there's not really that much in the stretch of air power that they can field here. They have been able to kill off the SCS, or at least wound it. No, SCS is still with us here. Mortar fire going in the left structures there. I'm not sure how many blue players we have left. I know that Vega left at the start of the game. Fleabane left. Loose Asian left. But the other guys, I'm not too sure. Airstrike went in. Looks like it got a bit of damage off. Nice kill with the SU-25. And I think that the Blue 4 air defense has completely collapsed. The Stormer, while it is pretty good against airplanes, either wasn't in range or has been killed off. And right now, Colt's Wilk is pushing right the other way, going pretty much back the road it came from. And for all we know, it might be able to drive right into Anna, the same way that it did drive into Gregory over on the other flank. Blue still has CVs in Boris, Dimitri and Anna. And that might not even be the last of the CVs, it's just the last that we know of. What do we have here? That looks like a transport. But I think that this town is still too hot. It still has too much infantry in there. Look at that. Stormer, almost down to nothing. Eric's over there, riflemen, territorials and rangers. So this is going to be a hard position to get into if you're going to rely purely on infantry. If you're going to rely on air power, this is actually pretty easy. And there, Pils has correctly identified the Erics, which is a good identification there. Now they know what they're up against. The Wilk is pushing in, the Mi-25 is pushing in, the T-80B coming in. Mi-25 looks to be taking fire from Bradley's. Oh, they're not doing very well. They have to get out of that range. This thing is trying to scramble back into cover, or at least out of the range. It looks like it's holding here for now. Over on the right, Ferret engaging a T-80B. It's going to be in a bit of an HGM standoff here. So you can get the hit in first. And I thought it was going to be the 80B, but not so much. Ferret again launching. Getting the kill even. It's not really what I was expecting from a swing fire missile, considering they only have 45% accuracy, but they do not disappoint. T-72 Wilk getting hit. Returns fire and immediately kills off that recon unit. Colt is now pushing a couple of UAZs, or UAS with SPG-9s, but I'm not really sure what they're trying to do there. Over on the left, still trying to engage. Commandosis have been dropped off. SPW-40, BODM-2, anything with a machine gun is being pushed into range. And the machine gun has greater range than the Eric's. They just have to spot the Eric's, and then they can use that machine gun to suppress. But why he's rushing in, I do not understand. He's just wasting units, and a lot of them. Look at that. Eric's are now taking aim at the Commandosi and getting a pretty decent kill rate at it. Helicopter pushing in. The Stormer is still there, currently killing off the transports. I'm really not sure why Red is just kind of throwing away the victory like this. I mean, they're still going to win, but the units that they pushed in here, they really did not have to lose those. Over on the north, they have been able to clear out whatever CV Blue had in there. Bombers coming in to surrender, or to help surrender any of these other Blue 4 players. Lots of points to be made is what's Colt saying there. Why? Why do you push with mortars? Because this is 30 points per kill. M150, not a unit that you see too often, but for a situation like this, it is absolutely perfect at killing off these lightly skinned vehicles. Another missile going in, but lost line of sight. And the last CV is over there. They know exactly where it is. They just have to go in and get it. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be an airstrike. They're also pushing in there. And yeah, Blue's is completely done. So let's just push this up and see about the results. I think that the Sneska might be the lucky winner for the kill on the... Nope. Nope, Colt got the kill. So, AGM-12, look at that. He was being pushed on very, very heavily. Still got 800 points and lost 195, so very, very well done there. Bozza, that's what you call an impressive kill rate. 120 points lost, 1200 points gained. Extremely well done. Kek, positive. Chunya, or Chiona, positive. Sator, positive. Pills lost a few units, but I think he was a bit distracted. He seemed to be operating on multiple areas. Looks like computer LV69, I don't know, wasn't in the game. He really didn't have that many kills. Doge lost a few, and Stone Chong made positive. So, that was the 10v10 tactical for today. If you have a 10v10 tactical that is as interesting as this one, please send it over. Link to that is in the description down below. Hope you enjoyed the game. If you have any suggestions, any tactics, any strategies that you want to share, please do so in the comments. And otherwise, I'll see you soon for the next video.